Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Maria Katrina Sigarong, and together with my group mates, which are Mr. Advincula Ernesto, Miss Eileen Almoete, Mr. Alvarado Liebert, Mr. Balundo Josh Nasrin, De Jos Angela, Falalimpa Maria Eloisa, Flor de Lis Rogela, Flores Eliza, Jimenez Abigail, Mr. Nabong Giancarlo, Miss Paul Trixie Ann, Mr. Salvador John Harold, and Mr. Suerte Albert are here to discuss about the credit process. The short credit process. So in a loan or credit transaction, it is important that the lender and the borrower have an agreement for them to come up with a clear and organized transaction. So, here are the steps in the credit process. So first, the initial discussion between lender and borrower. So, napaka-importante po niya na magkaroon ng malinaw na usapan yung lender and borrower. Wherein, the borrower expresses his intent to borrow and the lender explains the terms. So, yung borrower, kailangan unang-una is sabihin niya sa uutangan niya kung ano pa yung particular na gusto niyang hiramin, paano niya mababayaran, ganon. And while the lender explains the terms, condition, and the requirements of the credit being applied for. So after masabi ng borrower kung ano yung gusto niyang hiramin, kung anong particular na products or services na gusto niyang i-avail, yung lender naman is mahalaga na maipaliwanag niya sa borrower kung ano yung magiging takbo nung magiging transaction, paano ba mababayaran, ano ba yung mga documents, ano ba yung mga application na kailangan niyang pag-applyan para ayon maging malinaw sa borrower yung magiging itsura at yung pamantayan niya sa pagbabayad nung heheramin niya. So next step, after magkaroon ng discussion between the lender and borrower, the borrower signs an application form. So doon na i-issue na siya ng lender sa borrower na kung saan sasagutan or pifill upan yung mga basic information, profile information about doon sa borrower. Then an authorization for the credit department to conduct credit inquiries. So doon after magsagot ng application form, dadaan po yan doon sa credit inquiries na kung saan titingnan pa yung mga background credit report ng borrower. Then, after that, the borrower also submit the requirements. So, habang tinitingnan or inuusisa yung pinaka-credit report ng borrower is mahalaga din na yung uutang is maipasa niya or makumpleto niya yung mga dokumento na dapat niyang ipasa. So, sa ganun, magkaroon na siya ng chance or malaking possibility na ma-approve yung pag-avail niya ng loan. Next, third step would be the lender conducts an initial interview. So after magpasa ng documents, maipasa yung application form, yun na mag-start na yung lender na mag-conduct ng interview doon sa borrower. So using the credit application as guide, yung mga pinasang dokumento, doon magbe-base, pagbabasihan kung accurate ba yung sinasabi ng borrower doon sa nakasulat sa pinaka-application niya and sa mga documents niya na pinasa. So, fourth step, after magkaroon ng application form, nagpasa yung borrower, next is nagkaroon na ng initial interview. Yung lender naman is they would initiate information gathering and validation based on the credit application. So, mas research pa sila, mas i-evaluate nila yung pinaka-borrower based dun sa mga dokumento na pinasa nila. And para mas mapatibay yon, nandyan po yung credit bureau na kung saan yung mga credit bureau na yun yung mga agency na nagko-collect or nagre-research about the individual's credit information. So, ayun nga, para mas mapatibay, mas mausisa or ma-evaluate, ma-assess yung borrower, ayun, magtutulong yung dalawang yun para malaman nila kung i-approve ba yung loan availation na yun. So, for the fifth steps, if yung lender is medyo nakulangan pa or may gusto pang malaman ni information from the borrowers, of course, they would obtain informations from other creditors in the area and searches for other information not found in the credit application. So as a lender, ayun, mas magiging mausisa ka, maghahanap ka ng ibang agency or creditors na pwede mo mapagkukunan pa ng informations or ng background about dun sa borrower mo para ayun nga mas mapatibay or makatulong sa pagde-decide mo if i-accept or i-approve mo yung loan na ina-avail ng customer or ng borrower. For the 6 steps, after mo collect ng iba't ibang informations about dun sa borrower mo, kasama na dun yung appraisal or property offered as collateral. So, syempre, mahalaga din na ma-assess mo yung pinaka-property na may offer ng borrower mo para magarantiya na yung loan nila is maibabalik and ano ba yung makukuha mo in that loan transaction.
The next step is the credit evaluator organizes all available information. The credit evaluator is the one who analyzes and decides on the loan application and organizes all the information that they have gathered and verified about the borrower and the collateral. And then a decision is made, approve, disapprove, or pending for more documents. Here, the credit evaluator makes a decision based on the information and the lender's policies and criteria. The decision can be one of the following: approve, which means the loan is granted; disapprove, which means the loan is rejected; or pending, which means the loan needs more documents or clarification before a final decision can be made. The credit evaluator informs the borrower of the decision. Number 9. If disapproved, the applicant is informed. If the loan is disapproved, the borrower is informed of the reason for the rejection and the possible options to appeal or reapply. The borrower can also ask for a copy of their credit report from the credit bureau if they want to check their credit history and score. On the other hand, if the loan is approved, the applicant is also informed and all documentation is completed, such as signing of promissory note, chattel, etc. If the loan is approved, the borrower is informed of the loan amount, interest rate, repayment schedule, and other terms and conditions. The borrower and the lender sign the loan agreement and other documents such as promissory note, which is a written promise to pay back the loan, and a chattel mortgage, which is a legal document that gives the lender the right to take the collateral if the borrower fails to pay the loan. Number 11. Registration of chattel or real estate mortgage. The lender registered the chattel mortgage or the real estate mortgage, which is a similar document for property collateral, with the appropriate government agency. This is to make sure that the lender has a legal claim over the collateral and that the borrower cannot sell or transfer it without the lender's consent. And lastly, amount being borrowed or unit being purchased is released. Here, the lender releases the loan amount to the borrower, either in cash or by depositing it to the borrower's bank account. If the loan is for purchasing a unit, such as a car or a house, the lender pays the seller directly and transfers the ownership to the borrower. So, the conclusion, upon the completion of the credit process, the documents are split in two: one batch for the credit file and another for the transmittal to the home office for use in borrowing from banks. After the loan is approved and released, the lender keeps a copy of all the documents related to the loan, such as the application form, the credit report, the loan agreement, the promissory note, the chattel mortgage, etc. And these documents are called credit file, and they serve as the lender's record and evidence of the loan transaction. The lender stores the credit file in a secure place and updates it regularly with the borrower's payment status and other relevant information. The lender also sends another copy of the same documents to the home office, which is the main office or headquarters of the lender's organization. The home office uses these documents for borrowing from banks, which means that the lender can use the loans that they have granted to the borrowers as collateral or security for getting loans from banks. This way, the lender can increase their funds and lend more money to more borrowers. The Home Office also monitors and evaluates the performance and the quality of loans that the lender has given out. This shared credit process is important for both the lender and the borrower as it ensures that the loan transaction is fair, transparent, and secure. The process helps the lender to minimize the risk of default and loss and to increase their funds and lending capacity. The process also helps the borrower to get the loan that they need with reasonable terms and conditions and to build their credit history and reputation. The short credit process is a key component of the financial system as it facilitates the flow of money and credit in the economy. And to give you an example and an illustration of how the credit process works, may I call on Miss Flordelis?
To put those steps into illustration, we have here the diagram 12, also known as the credit process. Let's say Alex decided to apply for a loan to purchase a car. He will fill out the credit application provided by the bank, and his application will be then forwarded to the bank's credit department for a review. Once authorized, Alex is invited for an initial interview to discuss his car purchase needs, to provide necessary documents like income statements, previous bills, and to clarify any additional information needed. As part of the process, Alex pays a small application fee to cover administrative costs associated with his loan request. Depending on the bank's policies, Alex's loan may fall into the category of unsecured loans or secured loans. Unsecured loans are loans that have no collateral required, while secured loans requires collateral like property. In this case, he opts for a secured loan offering the car as collateral. The bank conducts a thorough property verification for the car. This includes appraising its value, checking its possession status, and confirming Alex's ownership through the title. Then the bank performs a character check and credit investigation to evaluate Alex's reliability as a borrower. Considering his credit history and financial behavior, if needed, the bank may request for a second interview or additional requirements to clarify certain aspects of Alex's application. The final steps involves evaluating Alex's character, capacity to pay, and the value of the car as collateral. Based on this assessment, the bank decides whether to approve or disapprove Alex's loan application. If disapproved, Alex will be informed, and if approved, Alex will proceed to signing or documentation where necessary paperwork is signed and completed. Then the approved loan is released to the borrower. The details of the loans are recorded in bookkeeping, and the collection department is responsible for managing the collection of loan payments. Part 2 will be discussed by Ms. Paul Trixie.
Part 2. Credit Investigation and Appraisal. Credit investigation. It is a procedure undertaken by a financial institution to vet a potential client's ability to pay back a loan. So if ever you fail to pass this procedure, then they will not allow you to take out a loan. Credit investigation is made up of personal interview, documentary verification, and inquiry from third parties. In personal interview, it should be done in two ways. The first time is when the borrower comes to the office to file his credit application. And the second time when the creditor CI or credit investigator pays a visit to the borrower at his residence, place of business, or both. An ocular inspection allows the CI to assess and determine the applicant's overall financial resources. So sa unang way, kailangan pumunta ni borrower sa office para i-file niya yung credit application niya. Then yung second way naman kung saan yung credit investigator na yung pupunta sa borrower para ma-observe niya ito at makita kung may capability ba si borrower na magbayad. Tapos titingnan niya din kung meron bang may offer sa kanya si borrower na properties na pwedeng gawing collateral in case na hindi magbayad si borrower. In documentary verification, it is mostly done on financial information such as pay stub and OFW remittances. It is also done to verify ownership and possession of properties offered as collateral. Basically, puro document yung kailangan dito, tapos makakatulong din to para makita kung may mga ari-arian ba sila na pwedeng may offer ng borrower as collateral. Last one is inquiry from third parties. Third-party inquiries are done to verify and understand the applicant's personal and credit reputation. If the creditor already has existing record from old files, it will help to pull them out. These internal records, if fairly recent, will be very useful. If the records are from a few years back, an updating will be necessary. You, Using inquiry from third party, it will determine kung maganda ba ang reputation mo as a borrower using your existing record. Makikita nila kung nakakabayad ka ba o maganda ka bang pautangin. Kung may record ka before at maayos naman to, then maaari nilang i-approve ang credit application mo. Kaso kung matagal na yung record mo, syempre kailangan mo pang ipa-update.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Some of the external sources are credit bureau, newspapers, court records, banks, other lenders, trade references, employers, and immediate supervisors. Major sources of credit information are the lenders or suppliers in the same line of business. Usually, in the case of appliance companies, it is possible to obtain a copy of the customer's ledger which shows a person's credit history. External sources means information from any source other than the internal sources. These other external sources are very important in credit investigation. Since if we do not have it, we won't be approved. Just like I said earlier. This usually happens in appliance companies because a copy of the customer's ledger which indicates a person's credit history can be obtained. It is important to know or to see if the customer is a good payer. That is why it is also important for them to see the customer's credit history. A customer's records on loans where payment is by salary deduction is useful only as a basis calculating the take-home pay. It does not establish the borrower's credit character because the deductions are mandatory, not voluntary. A customer's records for their loan or debt, the payment is through salary deduction because it is more convenient to calculate how much their take-home pay after they subtract all of their need to pay. It is not helpful to customers' reputation since their way of deducting is mandatory and not voluntary. To further understand, may I call Ms. De Dios to discuss about appraisal.
Thank you, Ms. Jimenez. Appraisal. Appraisal is an act or assessing something or someone. It has a synonym of review or judgment. It is also valuation of property o tinitingnan yung worth ng property na inoffer ng borrower and it will be estimated by the appraiser. Credit appraisal is an investigation or assessment na ginagawa ng bank bago sila magpahiram ng pera. Ginagawa ito para malaman yung kakayahan ng borrower na bayaran yung uutangin nila. The main goal of this is to ensure the money of the bank and the customer. Creditor appraise the property offered by its borrower as collateral because they need to ensure that the property is very important or it is something that the borrower will not forgo o hindi nila basta-basta i-give up yung property na inoffer nila as collateral. Also, if ever the borrower cannot pay the loan, they can quickly sell the property and the money that they will obtain from selling it will serve as a payment sa loan na hindi nabayaran. In my own understanding, appraisal is focused on knowing the value of the collateral offered by the borrower. Now, let me call on Ms. Flor Diris to discuss furthermore.
When the property being used as collateral is owned and possessed by the borrower, they are more likely to pay on time. This way, they really don't want to lose it. They will work hard to pay back the money on time so they can keep their home and not have to move. It's a good situation for both the person borrowing the money and the one lending it. If the borrower doesn't own or live in the property they are using for a loan, it is usually not allowed or accepted. This happens when someone offers a property owned and occupied by someone else using a special power of attorney or SPA. In such cases, the borrower may not be very motivated to pay on time because the property isn't really theirs. Their main worry is upsetting the actual owner, and without a personal connection to the property, the borrower might not feel as compelled to make timely payments. This situation is riskier for lenders.
The appraisal of immovable property is simple but time-consuming. Also, there are many factors to be taken into account. Usually, market value is done by number 1, comparison with the most recent sale of another property in the same area. Kinukumpara natin ng isang property sa most recent sale ng isa pang property in the same area because the market can change within a few months. Data older than this is inaccurate and not a reasonable comparison. If we are comparing homes, it's best to compare homes that have sold within the last 3 months. This is crucial in property appraisal kasi nagpo-provide ito ng standard reference sa pag-assess sa current market condition ng certain property. Recent sales serves as comparable transactions that helps the appraiser na i-measure yung value ng property based sa similar local market dynamics. Yung factor na need i-consider kapag nag-gauge ang property are the location, size, features, and condition kung saan marereflect nito yung value ng property. Through this assessment, mas maintindihan ng appraiser yung trends and fluctuation ng property within that area para ma-enhance yung evaluation nila. Number 2, estimates of the residents in the area. Estimating the number of residents in an area is crucial when it comes sa property appraisal. Kasi nakakatulong ito sa pag-assess ng demand for housing, potential rental income, and overall market dynamics. Nakaka-apekto rin ang population density sa values ng isang property. Kasi if the area demands increases, the property price also increases. Additionally, understanding the local population can provide insights about communities' needs like yung mga socio-economic factors. Kung paano makaka-affect yung property appreciation and the investment potentials. Number 3, opinion of other appraisers from financial institutions. When investing in real estate, it is important na umarap na ibang opinion mula sa iba pang licensed appraisers, especially those associated with financial institutions, para ma-determine yung right value ng property. Considering their insights and opinions tungkol sa chosen property can help you to have a more comprehensive and objective view sa property value. Yung mga appraisers yung nag-help na ma-validate yung accuracy and fairness ng assessed value para ma-reduce yung risk ng pagiging bias or inaccurate appraisals. Financial institution also conduct thorough evaluation to make lending decisions. Tapos yung mga appraisers yung may valuable insights sa market trends and property values. Utilizing various appraisals helps ensure na reliable yung estimated worth ng property. And next, we have Mr. Alvarado to discuss the number 4, recent published foreclosure.
Thank you. I'm Alvarado Leibert and I'm here to discuss what is recent published foreclosure and BIR zonal valuation. First, recent published foreclosure for other properties in the same area could be used to estimate a property's market value. For example, a property was recently foreclosed for $3 million. This amount is indicated in the foreclosure publication. It includes all interest, penalties, other charge, and the 10% attorney's fees. First, we must take out the attorney's fees. Foreclosure sale price is $3 million. Divided by 1.1, then the result is 2.7 million. Maaari nating gamitin yung mga recent published foreclosure para sa iba pang ari-arian within the same area on property's market value. For example, a property was recently foreclosed for 3 million. Bali dito, naka-indicate na din yung amount na ginamit for public foreclosure. Kasama na din dito yung mga interest, penalties, other charges, and for the 10% attorney's fee. Next, the bank's total exposure on this property is 2.7 million, representing the principal, interest, and other charges. The next step is to assume a loan-to-value ratio. Using a 60% ratio would not be right. The loan has interest and other charges. The suggested ratio is 80%, which means that the bank exposure of 2.7 million is about 80% of the market value. So, here's the bank's total exposure. On this property is already 2.7 million na lang. Because binawasan na nga natin yung sa 10% for attorney's fee. And this represents na lang for the interest and other charges. So, for the next step, we assume a loan value ratio. Using 60% is not recommendable because meron nang kasama itong interest nga and other charges, di ba? The suggested ratio is 80% because the most lenders offers mortgage in the possible rate of 80% or below. 80% or below is a good loan to value ratio. Anything above it will make the borrowers face higher borrowing costs, which means that the bank's exposure of 2.7 million is about 80% of the market value. Thus, we calculate 2.7 million divided by 0.8 is equals to 3.37 million. If the property foreclosed had an area of 1,000 square meters, then yung magiging market value na po nito is 3,370 per square meter. Maaaring yung technique na ito is inaccurate but it could establish a ceiling value or maximum. The conclusion is that this property is worth 3.37 or less. Next slide. And lastly, to discuss what BIR zonal valuation is all about, this guide is used by the BIR to calculate capital gains taxes. Does not show the market value of property. However, it could be the basis as floor price or the minimum. Thus, if the above property has a zonal valuation of 1,900 per square meter, the highest appraisal is at 3.37 million and the lowest at 1.9 million. So, yung guide daw po na ito, nakakatulong siya upang makalculate natin yung mga capital gains taxes na hindi pinapakita sa isang market value ng isang ari-arian, pero pwede siyang pagbasehan as kung hanggang ilan lang ang minimum na pwede siyang maibenta. If yung ari-arian daw is nagkakaroon lamang siya ng 1,900 per square meter, yung pinakamataas na appraisal na may offer sa kanya is 3.37 million and yung pinakamababa is 1.9 million. To further understand the most recent loan amount, may I call on Mr. Suerte Albert.
Most recent loan amount. Some properties have already been used as collateral before. This could be seen at the back of the title as mortgage annotation, or the borrower could just give you a copy of his loan ledger. If the loan is very recent, the loan amount reflects the most recent loan to value. Loan to value po ang pinag-uusapan. Bali yung halaga ng sinangla mo, tapos yung halaga ng ipapatong mo base sa haba ng time. Kapag malaki yung dinown mo, mas maliit yung loan to value. Kasi kumbaga in-advance mo siya, kaya mababawasan yung appraisal value. And the formula of this is LTV is equal to loan amount divided by asset value multiplied by 100. Loan amount is the amount of money you are borrowing from the lender, minus most of the upfront fees the lender is charging you. However, mortgage annotation, a mortgage annotation on the land title means that the property is being used as collateral or security for a loan or debt. These are the movable properties: agricultural properties, residential properties, and commercial properties. The word agricultural properties, those are productive, unproductive, and non-arable ideal, but arable like crops, trees, and underwood growing on such land. However, residential properties, these are subdivision property, developed or underdeveloped, non-subdivision. And lastly, commercial properties. These are office buildings, medical centers, hotels, malls, retail stores, multi-family housing buildings, farmland, warehouses, and garage. As you can see on the determinants of value, it classified in 3 columns: agricultural, residential, and commercial properties. These are the value under agricultural properties: size, topography, elevation, water resources, road access, irrigation facilities, flood control, availability of public transport, peace and order situation. In residential properties, size, topography, elevation, road access, water disposal, flood control, availability of public transport, utility hookups cable, neighborhood quality, public schools, and hospital roads. And lastly, under commercial properties, size, topography, elevation, road access, water disposal, and flood control.
What to bring? Mga dapat dalhin ng appraiser, yung sketch plan ng property, vicinity and location plan, compass, tape measure, copies ng titulo and tax declarations. Whom to ask? Owners of neighboring properties, the barangay chairman, for agricultural properties, development plans from the LGUs, upang malaman ang kita ng farm, pwedeng magtanong ang mga appraiser sa ibang farmers sa area. Also to be appraised are the improvements on the property. Some of these improvements which add value to a property are for the agricultural, building pens, dikes, access roads, electrical hookups, and deep well. For the residential, building additions, new paint, new plumbing, new electrical wiring, new floor tiles, and firewall. For the commercial, building, new paint, new plumbing, new electrical wiring, and new floor tiles or firewall. Machinery and equipment. Immovable machinery and equipment are those that cannot be uprooted or removed without defacing or destroying the property. Appraisal of this type of property could be done in different ways. Any machinery or equipment that cannot be moved or removed without causing damage to a property is considered immovable. This kind of property could be appraised in a few different. Number one is the percentage of acquisition cost. The original invoice on the equipment is looked up. Then a percentage of the acquisition cost is estimated. The number two is the replacement cost. The new acquisition price of similar machinery and equipment is the basis used. Let's estimate for depreciation. Building, the more common method is the use of construction cost per square meter. The prevailing construction cost of two-story commercial building, for example, is 7,000 per square meter if the building in a property offered for collateral has a total area, both floors of 500 square meter, then the building is valued at 7,000 times 500 is 3.5 million. Plus visible improvements, marble tiles, less depreciation, buildings are depreciated over a 25-year period. The other method is by comparing a recent sale of similar building in the same area. To discuss the next slide, I will call Salvador and Flores.
Thank you, Ms. Almuete. Our next topic is fraud or deceits in collateral. Fraud or deceits in collateral are tricks or lies, and any activity that relies on deception in order to achieve a gain. Fraud came from Middle English, from Old French, which is fraude, from Latin, which is fros or fraud, which means deceit or injury. There are so many types of fraud, like boiler room, romance scam, lottery scam, banking and online scam, like card scheming, phishing, email spoofing, Nigerian scam. And additional info lang na nitong November 30 ay may nabalitang fraud na naganap dito sa ating bansa. At tinawag itong Frankenstein fraud. Spurious titles. So ano nga ba yung spurious titles? These are fake documents na ginagamit ng tao para maapanloko o magpretend na kanila yung lupa o yung property na yun. And they are not real and they are illegal o illegal na gawain. For untrained private lender, this could be a problem, but for banks and professional lenders, this never happens. Alam naman natin na yung private lender ay yung nagpapautang ng pera. And for untrained private lender, they may not know how to check if the title is real or fake. But bank and professional lenders na may mas mataas na knowledge and experience about doon, ay mas madali nilang madedetect if yung pinipresenta ba sa kanilang title ay totoo o hindi. There are blank titles for sale in Manila. Deceitful borrowers can put anything they want. So, alam naman natin na yung capital ng Philippines ay Maynila. And marami dito ang nagbebenta ng blank titles which are like empty papers with no information. And yung
Empty papers na with no information na yan is parang template ng titulo na yung mga nakasulat lang sa titulo na walang pangalan ng may-ari, yung blank titles. And deceitful borrowers are people who borrow money but do not intend to pay it back. Yung deceitful borrowers naman ay yung mga nanghehiram ng pera na walang balak palitan yung inutang nilang pera. And yung deceitful borrowers na merong blank titles ay pwede nilang ilagay kahit ano yung gusto nilang ilagay dun sa blank titles, at dahil dun pwede nang mapasa kanila yung lupa na yon dahil sa ginawa nila, kasi nga yung blank titles ginagamit para maapanloko na saan nila yung lupa. A check with the Registry of Deeds will of course expose the perpetrator. Non-existent titles are not registered in the Registry of Deeds. So yung Registry of Deeds naman is a government office that keeps records of all the real titles in the country. And a check is a way of verifying if the title is real or fake. So yung Registry of Deeds is imbakan ng mga real titles dito sa Pilipinas. Kumbaga, doon nakaligay yung mga titulo ng lupa, titulo sa kotse, ganun. At yung iba pang title na pagmamayari talaga ng totoo, or pagmamayari ng totoong tao, or I mean yung pinaka-owner niya talaga. The perpetrator is the person who uses spurious title to someone. So, yung tawag dun sa taong nanloloko ng spurious title is yun yung perpetrator. So, non-existent titles are titles that do not exist at all. They are not registered in the Registry of Deeds, which means they are not valid. So, yun non-existent titles is, yun nga, based from its wordings, ito ay hindi nag-e-exist na titulo. And hindi sila na-registered sa Registry of Deeds. So, ito ay hindi talaga valid, or ibig sabihin ay hindi talaga sila may-ari nung mismong titulo. The next one is property claims on government land. So, ano nga ba ito? These are attempts by some people to pretend na kanila yung lupang iyon kahit ito naman talaga ay para sa gobyerno. And they are not allowed to do this, and ito rin ay illegal katulad ng spurious titles. In provinces where the torrents title system has not been fully implemented, tax declaration are used to document the mortgage. Alam naman natin na yung country ay merong kanya-kanya o merong probinsya, na bawat probinsya ay may gobyerno o may government. The torrents title system is a way to register the ownership of land and property. A tax declaration is a document that shows how much tax someone pays for their land or property. Yung tax declaration is like a resibo ng tax na binabayaran mo. And yung mortgage is a loan that someone gets to buy a land or property. Ito yung loan para makabili yung isang tao ng lupa o kaya property. In some provinces, the torrents title system is not complete, so they use tax declaration to show who has a mortgage on a land or property. So sa ibang probinsya, yung torrents title system is hindi pa ganon ka kompleto, or kumbaga hindi pa siya kilala dun sa ibang probinsya, and ginagamit lang yung tax declaration para makautang and magkaroon ng land or property. Anyone can have a tax declaration issued to him. If property taxes are paid, the tax declaration could be obtained at the assessor's office of the LGU. And this means that anyone can get a tax declaration for any land or property as long as they pay the taxes for it. So, ayun nga, kahit sino ay pwedeng magkaroon ng tax declaration basta nagbabayad ka ng buwis. The assessor's office is a place where they measure and value the land or property. The LGU is the local government unit, which is the government of the province or city. There was a foreclosed notice in a local newspaper describing the property in a tax declaration, bounded on the north by public forest, on the east by Agnas River, on the south by Kamansi Creek, and on the west by public forest. This piece of land is in the middle of the forest. It is a public land which cannot be alienated. A foreclosed notice is a warning that someone will lose their land or property because they cannot pay their mortgage. A foreclosed notice is para siyang kung baga sa Meralco is yung monthly resibo, parang ganon. Notice, kumbaga. A local newspaper is a paper that has news and information about a specific area or issues. Bounded means surrounded by something. Public forest means a forest that belongs to the government and everyone can use it. Alienated means sold or given away to someone else. To explain the whole scenario, this sentence describes a piece of land that is in the middle of a forest that belongs to the government and cannot be sold or given away to anyone else. So, ibig sabihin nito, kapag kasa gobyerno yung lupa na yon, hindi siya pwedeng ibenta o bilhin ng kahit sino man. That particular tax declaration was used to obtain a 500,000 loan. It was promptly foreclosed, the transfer to acquired assets, and soon forgotten. This type of fraud could not be possible without the connivance of lender's employees. This means that someone used the fake tax declaration to get a loan of 500,000 pesos. Ibig sabihin dito, may taong gumamit ng pekeng tax declaration para lang makakuha siya ng loan. A loan is money that someone borrows and has to pay back with interest. They could not pay back the loan, so they lost the land or property. So yun, dito sa explanation dito, yun nga, yung loan is yun yung money na hinihiram natin sa bangko o kaya sa lender or sa iba pang company na nagpapautang. And kapag hindi nila nabayaran yun, maaari nilang malos or mawala sa kanila yung lupa or yung property na meron sa kanila. Next is acquired asset are things that the lender takes from the borrower when they cannot pay back the loan. So yung acquired asset is yung kinukuha ng lender sa borrower kapag hindi nakuha yung or hindi sila nakapagbayad ng loan bukod dun sa property na kinukuha sa kanila o kaya yung lupa. Next is fraud is a crime of cheating or lying to get money or something else. Katulad nga nung sinabi ko kanina, yun yung fraud. And next one is connivance is a secret agreement or cooperation to do something wrong or illegal. Ito yung kumbaga kampihan. Yun yung kampihan or secret agreement nga. The next one is the lender's employees are the people who work for the bank or company that gives the loan. So yun nga, yun yung nagpapautang, yung lender's employee. This sentence means that someone cheated to get a loan with a fake tax declaration but they lost the land or property anyway. This kind of cheating could not be possible without the help of the people who work for the lender. So yun nga, nanloko na sila dito sa scenario and nawala pa rin nila yung property or land na kinuha nila sa panloloko. And hindi magiging posible itong ang panloloko na to without the sabuatan or kampihan na nangyari.
A mortgage is a financial agreement where a borrower obtains a loan to purchase real estate or property, and that property itself serves as collateral for the loan. In essence, it is a legal agreement between the borrower and a lender, typically a bank or mortgage company, outlining the terms and conditions of the loan, including the interest rate, repayment schedule, and consequences for default. For example, someone wants to buy a home but doesn't have the full purchase amount. They secure a mortgage from a bank and the home becomes collateral for the loan. The borrower agrees to make regular payments, including interest, until the loan is fully repaid. In recent times, a disconcerting issue has surfaced in the realm of real estate transactions, specifically related to mortgaging titles. A potential loophole lies in the ease with which individuals can obtain fake picture IDs, allowing them to mortgage titles that do not legitimately belong to them. One critical aspect contributing to this vulnerability is the minimal documentation required during notarization process. Lawyers overseeing this transaction often only request a community tax certificate, an easily obtainable document with limited scrutiny. Alarmingly, the acknowledgement section of the mortgage instrument suggests a personal acquaintance between the lawyer and the borrower, a claim frequently far from the reality. Mortgaging a title that does not belong to the borrower refers to a situation where an individual secures a mortgage using a property title that is not legitimately owned by them. This could involve misrepresentation, fraud, or unauthorized use of someone else's property as collateral for mortgage loan. Essentially, the borrower falsely claims the ownership of the property to obtain a mortgage, which can have a legal financial consequences for all parties involved in the transaction. Such as activities undermine the integrity of the mortgage and real estate processes, highlighting the importance of robust verification mechanism to prevent fraudulent practices. When mortgages are notarized, the minimal requirement for a community tax certificate raises concerns. The community tax certificate, also known as CTC, is a document that individuals can obtain with relative ease, often without undergoing through scrutiny or verification. This simplicity in acquiring the certificate creates a potential vulnerability in the notarization process, as it may not effectively verify the identity or ownership status of the individual seeking the mortgage. Consequently, this lax requirement poses a risk of facilitating fraudulent activities, allowing individuals to secure mortgage without robust checks on their identity or eligibility to claim ownership to the property in question. Furthermore, there are instances where the lawyer does not personally sign the acknowledgement. Instead, this responsibility is delegated to a secretary, introducing an additional layer of potential misrepresentation. Comparatively, in the United States, where notaries can be non-lawyers with a simple fee of $20, the identification process is more robust. Those executing documents must present a driver license, a picture ID containing their social security number, and a major credit card. This comprehensive approach to identification enhances the overall security and authenticity of transactions, particularly by focusing on the person executing the document. In the light of these observations, there is a clear need for an evaluation of the mortgage and real estate legal procedures, strengthening the identification process, and ensuring more rigorous verification measures can help safeguard against fraudulent activities, ultimately preserving the integrity of property transactions.
Gregorio pretended to be a contractor and got a 90-day credit of 200,000 in construction materials but never paid. He sold them at a loss. Since Gregorio pretended to be a contractor, then the result of that is a loss on his side. Because he taken for granted the 90-day credit that the hardware store has given to him. Glorieta had a good history buying from Ace with post-dated checks. She had money troubles due to her kids' college and gambling. Glorietas provide checks to school, electric company, and appliance company, which all of her checks was bounced, leading to her account closure. Glorieta asked for 350,000 in groceries with a 120-day check, which Ace approved. 4 months later, her 350,000 check bounced because her account marked as a account closed. Because of Glorieta's problem, nagkaroon siya ng problema sa pagsisettle ng kanyang mga debt. That's why yung mga check na ini-issue niya ay nag-bounce and the result of that ay nag-close yung account niya.
Exhibit number 1. Documents required for an approval loan or credit transaction. So this exhibit outlines various codes or abbreviations related to financial terms within a business context. So each of these codes correspond to a specific document or transactions related to different aspects. So each code is i-explain ko siya one by one. For the legends of this content, we have A. Do not apply to lending investors and finance company. B. Pronote and pledge in the same document. C. Do not apply in open book credit. D. For sometimes. Let's now proceed to the abbreviations of this content. First is the ASC or yung Assignment of Standing Crops. Mostly, ginagamit siya sa agricultural sector for security arrangement in credit collection, which is collateral siya in a way na yung pananim or yung mga tanim yung kapalit sa utang kung hindi man makakabayad sa utang. Next is DISC or Disclosure Statement. Mostly naman tong naglalaman ng mga informations like yung details ng utang mo, yung mga babayaran, penalties if late payment, and etc. na related sa pagbabayad ng utang. Next is PONC or Pronotes of the Customer of the Borrower. Legal documents naman to na nagpapatunay na nangako yung nangutang na magbabayad siya on time based sa agreement sa napagkusunduan ng both parties. Next is PDP or Proof of Down Payment. Documents naman to na nagpapatunay na may down payment ka na binayad based sa product na inabil mo. Proof din siya if may complications na may mangyayari during credit term. Next is CM or chattel mortgage. Collateral din siya pero personal belongings yung usapan dito, like sasakyan or yung mga gamit na pang personal na gamit. Next is REM or Real Estate Mortgage. Ito naman is collateral din siya pero property na ang usapan dito, like yung lupa or bahay as guarantee para pangbayad sa utang. Next is PN or Promissory Note. Parang PONC din siya, legal agreements na nangangako yung nangutang na magbabayad siya ng utang. Next is DCA or Deeds of Conditional Sale. Legal documents na ginagamit in every transaction, especially kapag bibili ng property. Kontrata siya kung saan yung pagbabayad is nakabase sa payment terms kung gaano ba katagal or magkano yung babayaran. Next is SWKT or Sales with Reservation of the Title. Sa credit collection, tumutukoy siya sa transaction ng products from seller pero hindi pa siya totally pagmamayari ng buyer hanggat hindi pa niya nababayaran ng buo. Next is DAS or Deeds of Absolute Sale. Legal documents din siya na ginagamit sa pag-transfer ng ownership to others in particular property without any conditions. Next is WHR or Warehouse Receipt. Documents na ginagamit to ensure na may particular na product sa isang warehouse which is pwede ring collateral sa utang or transactions between companies. Next is LCTR or Letter of Credit or Trust Receipt. Mostly ginagamit sa international trade and lending, which is to ensure yung tamang pagbabayad at pagpaprocess ng transaction sa international trade. Next is PDC or Post-Dated Check. Ito naman is check siya na may fixed date na kailangan bayaran within that day. Last is yung TD or Task Declaration. From the word itself, Task Declaration, meaning is pagde-declare ng mga gawain na kailangang gawin para sa pag-process ng credit collection sa mga customers. So in this table, the items listed under appliance company indicates the required documents or steps to acquire these items through loan, sales, or other agreements with appliance company. For the column of commercial bank, lending investors, and financial company, it specifies the required document for each row, appears to represent a specific type of loan or financial service, and the columns outline the necessary documents or procedures related to that particular type of loan. For example, yung under ng car financing, they require the following which indicates the need for documentation such as promissory note, real estate mortgage, disclosure statement, proof of down payment, and vehicle registration. Similarly, for other type of loans like agricultural loans, community loans, time loans, etc., this column for commercial bank, lending investors, and financial company, it indicates the required documents or procedures specific to each type of loan.
That's all. Thank you.